The musical modes. It is a topic most likely you've heard about before, or maybe even in the past you have done some research yourself. So what are they? And more importantly, how can they help you in your own music? Hey everybody, Xander here. Welcome to my channel Learning Music Skills, the place where I talk about all kinds of music topics for becoming a better musician, producer and songwriter. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you'll see my next video as well. I remember when I heard about modes for the first time from my guitar teacher. It took me quite some time to wrap my head around the concept. It can be quite a daunting topic, especially because there are so many different ways people explain it. So without further ado, let's dive into it. There is one thing that we cannot avoid talking about when it comes to modes, and that is the major scale. And I hear you thinking, why is the major scale so important? Well, that's because we can derive all of the modes from just this one major scale. We can create a C major scale by playing all the white keys on the piano from C to C. If we do this, we get... And now we have ourselves a C major scale. Why C? Well, this is because the tone C is our root, or actually the tone that we consider our home base. The C major scale consists of 7 unique tones, or scale degrees as they're also called. And only 7 because when you count further, the sequence simply repeats itself. So the next thing is creating a major scale. So what do you do when you want to create an F major scale, for example? How do I do this? Okay, let's go back to the C major scale, because there's something more that we can learn. We need to find out what the blueprint is for creating a major scale. To do this, we need to count the distances between all the notes in the scale. We do this in half and whole steps. Each key on the piano, or on the piano roll if you're working in a DAW, does not matter which one, they stand for half a step, no matter the color. So that means when there is a black key next to a white key, this is half a step. So that also means that if there's a black key in between 2 white keys, that means that going from one white key to the next one is one whole step, because there is a black key in the middle. This also goes for when there are 2 white keys next to each other, so when there's no black key in between them. When I apply this to our major scale, the result is this. So now we have the blueprint for making a major scale. You can apply this to any scale you want, because this blueprint of whole and half steps always stays the same. So you can now make an F major scale, for example. Now we start with the fun part. Now that we have this under our belt, let's continue with the musical modes. Actually, the thing that you came here for. Remember when I said that you could derive all the modes from just one major scale, or just from the major scale? That's exactly what we're going to do. Here we are again with our C major scale, but instead of playing from C to C like we did before, we are going to scoot everything up and play it from the second scale degree, which is the D. This now becomes our root note, or home base, as I said before. So now I'm going to play the scale from D to D. Why do we consider this to be a different scale? Since we're using the same notes as a C major scale. So what's the difference? There is always a note that is more important, and this is the root note, or as I referred before, the home base. All the other notes in the scale relate themselves to the root note. In the C major scale, C was the root note, but now we can see that it's on the 7th degree, so it's not on our number 1 position anymore. To create the other modes, we just simply repeat this process of shifting everything one step up. The end result is 7 different scales, and we can tell them apart not only by their blueprint of whole and half steps, but they also have different names. We have the major scale, which is called Ionian. We have the Dorian scale, or the Dorian mode. We have the Phrygian mode. We have the Lydian mode, the Mixolydian mode, the Aeolian mode, which is natural minor, and we have the Locrian mode. For this next step, it is recommended that you learn the different interval names. Anyway, you're going to use this further in your songwriting career or in your producer's career, so it's very important that at some point you learn the interval names, because it just makes your work so much easier. Chords and scales are minor or major. Which one it is depends on if the third, which is the third scale degree, is major or minor. So if in a chord the third is major, then you have a major chord. If in a scale your third scale degree is a major third, then you most likely have a major scale. Ionian is a pure major scale, and Aeolian is our natural minor scale. So we can use their blueprints of whole and half steps to see if the other modes are major or minor oriented. So we start with the major scale. As you can see, it has a major second, a major third, perfect fourth and a perfect fifth, major sixth, major seven, and then again we're back at the octave. So let's start with the Dorian mode. It has a minor third, so it's minor oriented. Let's double check. Yes, the Aeolian scale has a minor third as well. And it has a major sixth. So let's compare this to our Aeolian mode. The Aeolian mode has a minor sixth. So here's the difference. For the rest, it is exactly the same as the Aeolian mode. In this case, it is D Dorian, because it is the Dorian mode or scale with the root note D. So that's why D Dorian. Now let's continue with the Phrygian mode. It has a minor second and a minor third, and the rest of the scale is actually the same as the natural minor scale. If we look at the Lydian scale, we see that we have a major third, but we also have an augmented fourth. The rest of the scale is exactly the same, so actually only the augmented fourth is what sets it apart from the major scale. Now, if we look at the Mixolydian scale, we again see that we have a major third. The only thing that's different is we have a minor seventh. If you compare this to the major scale, there we have a major seven. And now let's continue to the Locrian mode. This is a bit of an oddball, but we have a minor second and we have a diminished five. This is a scale degree that is quite exotic, and it's not the first mode that you'll be experimenting with. So the most important question is, of course, how can I use this in my music, and what kind of exercises can I do to try and master this concept of modes? It is important to try and get the feel and the sound of each mode. The best way to do this is just choose a mode and start improvising and writing melodies using this mode. You don't do this for just a day, but you really do this for a week or maybe even 2 weeks. Then you really get the sound of this mode in your fingers and in your brain and in your ears. Be sure that your melody has a focus on the notes that make the mode unique, because that way you really get the flavor of it. Another thing that you can try is, for example, if you have written a melody in, let's say, C major, but you want to spice things up. Well, why not transpose it to a different major-oriented mode, for example, Mixolydian. In this case, what you have to do is lower the 7th scale degree for it to become a minor 7th. Another good exercise, which is linked to what I just told you, it would be writing a melody and transpose it to all the different modes. So for example, if you have written something in the Dorian mode, which is minor oriented, then you transpose it to, let's say, the Phrygian mode, or you transpose it to the Lydian mode. Well, the Lydian mode will really give you a different result, because first of all, the second is major, the third is major, the fourth is augmented, so you really have to change a lot of notes. And an expert tip is trying to find out if some of your favorite songs use modes. So for example, I know that certain Beatles songs are written in certain modes. Radiohead uses a lot of modes. I know that a lot of pop music uses the D-Dorian scale or also the Lydian mode. So it really pays off to do some research in your current repertoire and see if you can get some inspiration there and how your favorite artists use them. So, to recap, why would you use modes? Well, because they give you a lot of creative options for writing great melodies. So that's why it's interesting and inspiring to use them. They will give you results that you might not have come up with by yourself. And also, if you have a melody that's maybe just a bit bland and you think, I'll just throw this melody away, wait a second. Maybe, like one of the exercises, transpose it to a different mode. Let's see what you get. I hope this introduction into the beautiful world of the musical modes was useful and inspirational to you. I would love to hear your experiences, so be sure to drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And for now, see you next time.